Not sure if you notice, it's not as green. I officially picked Spring Bud for this color because there's at least some encouraging news when it comes to the Calgary Flames on the ice. Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And lately it's been more Calgary Flames news on why they have not been playing and why I've had to make that bulb green was, well, the Calgary Flames ultimately have been the hardest hit team when it comes to outbreak with COVID in the National Hockey League, to the point that they have last played a live game on Saturday, December the 11th, and had a total of 7 games postponed. It got to the point that basically I think every team in the National Hockey League have at least a player that is in COVID protocol, but it got to the point that the league extended the winter break, starting for December 22nd till December 27th. So in total, the Calgary Flames, with this result of this outbreak, have had 7 games postponed, and the National Hockey League altogether has had 7 games postponed. However, after Christmas, and hopefully you enjoyed your time with Christmas, and eventually I'll actually make a Christmas haul videos. I have a couple items that I want to share. But the next day on Boxing Day, encouraging news, the Calgary Flames, they were back on the ice. Yes, the Calgary Flames were back on Seattle ice to start practicing. The only players that weren't on the ice for practice, as I know, was Dan Vladar, because technically he's still the only Calgary Flame now that is in COVID protocol, and Tyler Pitlick, who actually had an injury. That seems to be secondary right now while players not playing. But the Calgary Flames, they are back on the ice, and as of this recording, sadly, we will not get that Battle of Alberta game scheduled on Monday, December the 27th, when they'd host the Edmonton Oilers. But things are actually looking good, that the Calgary Flames' next game will be on Thursday, December 30th, when they'll be making their first ever trip to Seattle in the new Climate Pledge Arena to take on the Seattle Kraken, and then come back here on New Year's Eve for their home game against the Winnipeg Jets, I believe. So at least the Flames are back on the ice after almost 3 weeks, which feels like 3 months at this stage, but at least it's encouraging. They're back on the ice. The team's all happy about being back on the ice. The big question is still going to remain with the Calgary Flames is, with this shutdown, will this be a good or a bad thing for the Calgary Flames? Up to the point before this shutdown, the Flames have been one of the top teams in the league and almost look like they're at that same level that the Calgary Flames are at in the 2018-19 season, as we've had one of the best goaltending in the league, one of the best defensive systems going on in the National Hockey League under head coach Daryl Sutter. And of course, Johnny Gaudreau and the breakout performance of Andrew Mangiapane. But if you recall, the Calgary Flames were in a funk before they got sick with COVID, and also the fact that basically everyone's back on the ice, meaning that none of the players were seriously sick. Basically what we're hearing with this Omicron variant is it's milder in terms of hitting people who are vaccinated, which is important. Now you got to get yourself vaccinated, because yes, you might still get it, but you might just have the good old-fashioned cold symptoms as opposed to needing to be in the hospital for 3 weeks, seeing people in hazmat suits poking prod at you, hoping you're not going to die. I would think the choice is obvious, and actually, me personally, I will get my 3rd dose actually tomorrow, so hopefully that goes. It's been over 6 months since I got my 2nd shot, but at least the Flames, they seem to have survived it in terms of not being too sick, and hopefully it was probably inevitable that some of the players that were sick that had to isolate probably unfortunately gave it to their households. So hopefully things are fine for that as well. But it's going to be still, I'm going to say, this season going forward is going to hinge on how the Flames do from this point on. But basically the Calgary Flames, other than Brett Ritchie, who actually did practice with the team, who was hurt at the start of the season, the Flames were been fairly healthy until this outbreak. And I'm going to say, with the fact that there's been outbreaks throughout the league and teams having 3 players in, out, and then another 3 players in, if this was going to happen to the Flames, the only positive you could say is the fact that it happened all at once. And basically, now that this hopefully virus theoretically has run its course with the team, that they've built some herd immunity, and this could be something to rally against. Of course, the NHL, I think I felt, reacted a little too late on 2 fronts, where I thought actually this whole time the NHL were testing players daily, but apparently it was only every 3 days, and once the outbreak started, it was up to every day with the enhanced protocols that they brought in a little too late, I'd say, and what the NHL has also brought in, which might be interesting to see what the Calgary Flames could do, is now that the NHL has announced that they've expanded rosters where you can have 6 players on a taxi squad and an emergency recall without any cap implications. That's another thing that probably should have been brought in a little earlier, because there were teams that were playing literally shorthanded because they couldn't ice a full roster because of the COVID protocol. And there's still going to be some teams around the league that has had 3 players in or 4 players in and out. I think there's at least over 70, 80 players at one time throughout the National Hockey League that's in it, and that's being on the low end. But at least I say, when it comes to the Calgary Flames, they're at least back on the ice practicing, and it looks like the league will be back in action for Tuesday, December the 28th. I know the league is still committed on having their Winter Classic on Saturday, January 1st, where the Minnesota Wild is going to host the St. Louis Blues at Target Field, where the Minnesota Twins play. Of course, that's a big money maker. I know that's still well remains to be seen, but I think they're not going to be setting up that game to not have it postponed. Put it out there, and the fact that locally here in Calgary, I know that whenever the Flames get to go back, nothing is for sure yet, but looking at the schedule, it's only going to be a half, 50% capacity. So the Sea of Red won't be a full Sea of Red. It would only be a 50% capacity according to the health regulations set by the province of Alberta. And actually the fact that you're not going to have some dome beers or popcorn, because I hear that you're not going to be selling concessions at the game, so that's something to keep in mind. But you probably already noticed as watching it. But so you have to say, it's nice to see that at least we're not totally shut down anymore and we're getting ready for action. Be interested to see how we come back with almost 3 weeks off suddenly. Team should be somewhat fresh and ready to go, but at least the shutdown was extended for everybody. So see what happens. So of course that means if those next 2 games do come in as scheduled, I guess after the new year, once we get over your hangovers, I'll be back with my Calgary Flames at 6 recapping previous 6 games, and then we're still waiting for when the games will get rescheduled, which now with the Flares NHL not going to the Olympics in Beijing, that 3-week period in February definitely is going to be spent playing catch-up. Calgary Flames are definitely going to have to be doing that just with the 7 games alone because they're sick. Can't rule out the possibility that maybe there could be more games postponed on the other side of the ice, but that's enough about this story. That we're back practicing. So anyway, how do you think the Calgary Flames will do once we get back? Was this inadvertently a good time to have this happen, just because of the funk they were in? Or could this kill the momentum that they built up before the funk, which every team ultimately goes through every funk throughout the season? And then say if we don't get all 82 games in, points percentage will be determined for seeding. But I think now with no Olympics, focus on playing catch-up in February, and now with the extra protocols and the expanded rosters, I think the NHL is just going to try to soldier through on, and hopefully the virus passes through and get 82 games and still have the playoffs. So anyway, as I like to say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, home to Flames hip and Roughnecks and Stan Peters. I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, or recap game stories. Well, of course, with the Calgary Flames lately, it's been mostly stories on why they have not been playing, but it looks like we will be playing soon. Just wait a few more days, If we waited this long, we can wait a few more days. But I also do a variety of non-sports content like personal vlogs, attempt to comedy, and I also do have share my experience sim on the road or sporting event. So if it all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, you know what you need to do, just make sure you hit like and subscribe. I also have my other social media down in the description below, and I also do have my second channel, Brett Hornby Shorts, where I do post my YouTube shorts, my short form content on that channel as well. So I appreciate you subscribe both here on my main channel and my second channel. So I would say go Flames go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And I guess pretty soon I'll actually get back to recapping games, talking about games that happened on the ice. There's definitely been a lot of stuff off the ice, virus, and of course I had to talk about the pitching contest between the city and the Flames as well, about where they're playing in terms of an arena. But that's another story for another day. So thank you.